Hey, Rob from Order 42 here, and today we're going to be talking about The Little Things, a new movie with Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and Jared Leto. Now, I will be talking spoilers later on in the video, but if you want to stick around and hear my thoughts, you can, and I will definitely let you know when we're going to be heading into that spoiler territory. And if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we got all kinds of things going on all the time. We got reviews, we got interviews, we got talks about different subjects in the entertainment industry. It's fun stuff. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Written and directed by John Lee Hancock, The Little Things stars Denzel Washington as Joe Deacon, a former LA homicide detective who now works as a deputy in a small town. When he finds himself back in LA, he teams up with his replacement Jim Baxter, played by Rami Malek, to solve a case of serial murders. Jared Leto plays Albert Sparma, their prime suspect. I will start off by saying that if HBO Max and Warner Brothers wanted The Little Things to be that movie that helps bring in subscribers to HBO Max, this isn't the one. This isn't the one. I would not subscribe to HBO Max just because of The Little Things. It's just not the movie. It's such a bummer to talk about this because I love all of these actors. I think Denzel Washington is, of course, just an amazing actor, and he's been amazing for many, many years. He's been just solid in everything he does. Rami Malek, I've recently watched Mr. Robot and was just I love this guy. I think he's just a fantastic actor, and he just brings a realness to the role that I really, really like, to all of his roles, really. And Jared Leto, I get it. There's a lot of people that look at Jared Leto and go, oh, he's just one of those weird artsy guys, who thinks too highly of himself. To me, he's a solid actor. And everything I've seen him in, he's been solid. But I think it's not the acting that fails here. It's the writing. It's the plot. One of the things that I really like about the movie is the way that it portrays policemen, and in this case, homicide detectives, as being sort of these tormented souls. They see things and deal with things that the regular public just doesn't get to see and doesn't really want to see because it disturbs them and it like I said, it torments them in a way that is kind of similar to post-traumatic stress disorder. It's sort of beautiful the way that that's portrayed. The problem is it doesn't really pay off in a way that I feel is very fulfilling. I get the idea that's trying to be presented here, but I just feel like it fell flat. I feel like it was like, oh, so that happened. Okay. And there's also little things that show little things that show up throughout the movie, sort of these little details that sort of help tell the story and shape the story and shape the characters. The problem is there's some of them that I'm like, I kind of wish that wasn't shown. I kind of wish that they held back on some of those things, because I feel like instead of just laying everything out, maybe holding back some information from the audience might have been a wise move. I'm not sure. I mean, this movie has been in the works since 2003. I think that's when John Lee Hancock wrote it. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's a solid script. I mean, when you get actors of this caliber to be on a project, I mean, that's already kind of a boost to the project. And I honestly just feel like the script could have used a couple of more revisions to really tighten things up. And because, I think a lot of people might find it a bit slow. I actually enjoyed the pace of it all the way up until, like I said, the third act is where things happen that, I don't know, it's kind of ridiculous and sort of strains credibility, especially for the sort of the rules in the world that they built, which is based in reality. There's things that happen that I don't want to go into, in a non-spoiler type review, that sort of ruin things and make me question the sanity of the characters. And it just doesn't work for me. I feel like there's people out there that watch movies, especially if they're fans of specific actors. They might watch the movie just to see their work and to see them and sort of support them. I get that. can tell you right now, didn't hear good things about this movie. You know, I just didn't. And everything that I'd read was kind of like, but I wanted to see it because I love all three of these actors. I like seeing them work. I like the interplay between interesting characters, and I got a lot of that. The problem is the story just failed. I feel like the story failed. If I was gonna give a rating to this, I'd probably give it like a 2.25, maybe a 2.5 out of 4. I feel like a movie like this, with a plot like this, story like this, you really need to nail that landing. That at the end, you really need to nail it. And they just didn't. I feel like the story failed at that point because I feel like characters did something that wasn't credible, and that was a little ridiculous, and it was almost like they were going more for that kind of, oh, we're going to make this sort of a twist, a gut punch at the end of the movie, and instead it was just like, okay, I mean, I see what you're going for, but it didn't work for me. And judging by some of the other reviews that I've read and watched, yeah, it didn't work for a lot of people. So I mean, yeah, it's a bummer to be excited about a movie with some actors that I really enjoy, and kind of excited to watch them play off of each other. It just overall, it just didn't work for me. So now we're going to get into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen the movie and you want to see the movie, I would suggest going ahead and clicking off now. Thank you for watching. But for the rest of us, let's get into it. The thing that really sort of made me grasp onto Denzel Washington's character wasn't the small town kind of, almost attitude that he starts with. It's not the the sort of interplay between the characters at the beginning where it's you're sort of wondering, okay, why did he get removed from the force? Was it because of this heart attack? Was it because he just got too close to the case? What was it that removed him from the LA Police Department? What was it? And that was sort of interesting. And then seeing how he was haunted by the victims of these murders, I enjoyed that in a way where it felt like I was really getting to know who the character was. And then, like I said, by the end of the movie, when things are revealed, when it's revealed that, he was one of the ones, or he was responsible for one of the murders, or one of the deaths, I guess you could say. It wasn't really a murder. I don't know. I felt like that shouldn't have been shown. I would have enjoyed it more to see less. Okay, here's all the cards we have. You know what I mean? It almost felt like his character would have been more believable if he would just felt responsible for their deaths, and responsible enough to where he wanted to finish this case. He wanted to I don't know. It's such a frustrating thing to see. It's frustrating to see almost them fumble at the 10-yard line. You know what I mean? It's just, that's what it felt like to me. And yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't work for me. Rami Malek is actually really good in the movie, all the way up until he decides to get in the car with a murder suspect. I mean, why would you do this? I mean, it just didn't make any sense. In fact, that whole scene seemed to not really work for me. It's like, so why did he answer the phone? Why was Jared Leto, I mean, who was calling that phone? Did it even matter? And the fact that Jared Leto's character, walks up and he draws a gun on him, and it was just a weird interplay of things that just sort of happened. And then there's this, okay, where were they going with this? And then when Rami Malek actually, ends up killing Jared Leto's character, it's just like, why did you have to go this route, And I felt like even before that, the idea of Denzel Washington breaking into a suspect's house, it's like, none of this is admissible, right? Even if you find something, it doesn't matter, because you can't use that in a court of law, because you've destroyed that evidence almost. It's almost like you threw it in a fire, because you can't use it in a court of law. Police officers, homicide detectives, They should know this. So why would that even be a thing? Maybe he was. I kept thinking, okay, maybe he's trying to find something that's going to help, whatever. I mean, I don't know. It felt like the character started doing things that just wasn't in their character. And maybe I was projecting. Maybe these characters were like that all along, that they were willing to bend the rules of the law to get what they want no matter what. I just didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like someone would be living with a case for so long to just say, you know what, I'm just going to ruin it by breaking into the suspect's house. Why would you do that? And then the big reveal at the end, Denzel's character sends Rami Malek's character the red beret, basically proving that yeah, Jared Leto's character was responsible for the death of the missing woman. And then the reveal that nope, Denzel just bought a red beret and sent it to him, and then on top of that, showing that he was the one that murdered or unfortunately killed the last victim of this. By that point, I was just like, this is ridiculous. This is just a bad ending. And things happen, right? In the world, that's one of those things that it's sometimes things just happen, right? And people do things that are out of character, and people do things that are. I just don't get the point of it. It didn't shock me. It actually irritated me. It irritates me when characters that are sort of built up to be intelligent in whatever they're doing, right? Whether they're in this case homicide detectives, they obviously know what they're doing until they don't. Until they just were like, screw it, I'm going to get in a car with the suspect. I'm going to break into a suspect's house to get evidence or to try to find evidence. It just didn't make any sense. And it actually irritates me when movies do this. It's almost like they set up the rules intentionally to break them. And I don't like that. And the thing is, the acting's pretty good across the board. I feel like Jared Leto's character was a little over the top weird. Like, he's definitely weird from the beginning, and the way that he speaks is kind of weird. But it's just some of his lines are just way over the top. And I feel like even a murder suspect, even if you did it, you wouldn't be that sharp. I don't know. I felt like a little more reserved, even if he's sitting there and he's like, haha, I'm gonna get one over on these flatfoots. I don't know what that was. Anyway, it just doesn't make sense. It's just a little too over the top, and it became almost cartoonish in a way, the way that he was acting, and it was a little too much. And Denzel's character was actually really good throughout, even through doing what I would be considering to be dumb things. He's still excellent. Rami Malek kind of loses it a little bit, and then he there's a little bit more at the end, but at the same time, I'm sitting here watching it and going, is Rami Malek too good for this movie? For this part? I kind of feel like he is in a weird way. I don't know if that's, I don't know. It's just a weird movie, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me, and that's a bummer. I don't like giving a bad review, especially for a movie with actors I really admire. It's yeah. So yeah, that about wraps up the little things. Yeah, I'm kind of curious what you think about it. I mean, did you see it? What did you think about it? Or maybe you still want to see it, even though the review isn't that great, just because you're a fan of the actors. I mean, look, I'll be honest, that's how I am. So sometimes even a bad review can't keep me away. But yeah, let me know down below. We'll have a discussion about it. I mean, it's even when things don't work, sometimes it's fun to break it down, see what went wrong. So yeah, I guess that about wraps it up. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.